This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast.
Thank you. All right, peeps. What's going on? So we got of course we got another show today. I know some of you have missed us who watch religiously, especially my girl Yana Cruz. You know who you are. Hopefully you listening before the year is over, because I have to basically twist her arm to get her to. I don't know what's going on with her, but hopefully you're listening. Shout out to Pedro. I know he's always listening. I can't think of anybody else that I know who just jumps right on and listens. Oh, and Lee, she's always listening too. And then everybody else, shout out to everybody who listens to the show. Hopefully, Mark, you're listening to this. I gave you the drop yesterday, so hopefully you get on. All right, Jim, what's going on with you?
Yeah, same old. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, I went to a funeral yesterday. Good friend's father passed away. So, I went to show my support. He was a great person, wonderful guy, Mr. Tudor, so rest in peace. Gonna miss him. I didn't get to see him recently over the years, but when at the times that I have seen him, he was a very pleasant person. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm trying to think what else is going on in the world. Not much that I want to talk about anyway. I'm just saying, I can't think what's the new movies out. I don't want to really see any of these movies that are coming out. You passing gas over there? What is that? Can you hear me?
That was a message. That was a message coming through.
Okay, you sure? Listen, you sure that was a
message? That was a message. Yep, that was definitely a message.
Okay, yeah. Your phone passing gas over there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right, so we got that out the way. Let's get into the show real fast. I want to do reaction. Of course, we haven't done the Kevin Samuels in a couple of weeks, I think. And I know what I wanted to talk about before we get into that Kevin Samuels reaction. So I don't know if you heard about this, but Deion Sanders, who's the football coach of Jackson State University, he invited our wonderful friend, Brittany Renner, to give a speech.
I heard.
And so I actually watched some of it because I had nothing better to do. And, this was my reaction to it. And the reason why I have a problem with Brittany Renner going to talk to these guys is because I feel like all you're doing is merch. Let me just say that. So it feels like you are legitimizing her, So I'm already issued out with her personality, how she conducts herself, and I'm like, the more all you're doing is creating more relevancy for her and giving her more life. And I feel like people like that, if you want to be successful, be successful in your own right. Don't try to use drama to further, a lot of people, a lot of these ladies, and I guess some guys do it too, but mostly the ladies go, they get on these shows and they cause controversy, and then everybody thinks they're going to be like Cardi B. Something Cardi B did. She got on what is that, Love and Hip Hop, very dramatic, and she was able to forge a career from that. But not everybody can do that, and so that was pretty.
She did have some mediocre of talent. It's debatable.
No, but she used Love and Hip Hop to brand that. Like she couldn't.
Right.
She would have never made it in hip hop if she didn't have that show, because it's very hard for anyone to break out, and because she's very charismatic, I think that's what stuck to people. So
but a lot of people realize that they don't have that, what people are drawn to, and people are not drawn to Brittany Renner like that. Oh, Lord.
So coming on to the show, we have from San Francisco, Ladonna Marie.
Hey,
Hey.
Hi, guys.
So how's San Fran over there? I see the Golden Gate Bridge in the background.
San Fran, wonderful. How are you guys today?
We're all right.
We're all right.
Good,
So,
good.
So what's going on with you? I saw your nomination. You broadcasted that yesterday. What's happening with that? Like, can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so I was nominated a couple weeks back, or maybe a month ago. I was nominated for Best Cover and Best Nonfiction Book Award for the Bar Black Literary Awards Gala, and it was held on yesterday. And so I was really, really excited because I was nominated for my latest release, The Journey to Path, The Way I See It. So, I just thank God for the nomination because of the book and everything that it meant to do, that, he set out to do through me. And so just along the nominations, I was so excited about it because that means more people will get a chance to know about that book, and in hopes go get it for themselves so they can learn more about it.
I see.
So, and another thing, we were in New Orleans. So we were in New Orleans. That's what the award show was. It was amazing. Had people from all over the world, people from Memphis and different parts, and it was authors. We had a pitch queen on there. She had been on Shark Tank and every other places. We had the queen from New Orleans, who she does like books and things there. She's a lady who's about 84 years old who really cares about the literacy in New Orleans, and she was there. They honored her on yesterday. So it was really a great literary award event, and I was glad to be a part.
So who won?
In my category, there was a young lady named Purpose Copeland, and her mother was a Dr. Tracy over the event. She won. And then in the other nonfiction, I think it was Dr. Myra. I don't know her last name, but it was Dr. Myra. But it was so many people who were in, the category, and they had other things. They had children's books, best nonfiction, best fiction, best anthology, best devotional. And I was only nominated in two categories. So it was an honor to be there. I was grateful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so did you take your sons with you?
I did not. I went by myself. I went solo. I said that I will, be investing in them like a nice, black tie aware, I can't even add the words. A suit for black tie engagements, and so because I always love to keep have them there, but they didn't go with me this time. I told them that they will be going the next time because I haven't exposed them to like the gala type atmosphere. They've been to speaking engagements with me, book festivals. And so the next thing is the exposure to them to gala type activities where they get to go and mingle and see other people in the world that are doing what I do. Because the awesome thing about it on yesterday is I met a lot of people that I've done things with via social media. So I met like a lady, Angela Thomas Smith. We've written a book together. I've been on her show. I think she even sent one of my books over to another country because she was shipping books over there to them for them to read, but we had never met in person, but she was there on yesterday. And then also there's a lady that I was, Vanessa Ross. She and I was a part of a book, co-authors of a book as well. And so I got a chance to meet her there. I think she's out of North Carolina. And so we had never met, but we worked together. We've been knowing each other, in these social media streets forever. And so that was the beauty of getting a chance to meet them. And even Jonathan, he sat at the table with me. He won for best anthology, and I congratulated him because we were sitting there and nobody knew who won until we got there. So there was anticipation and everybody was, cheering each other on, but nobody knew until they stood you on the stage and then they called out the finalists and then they called out the winner. And so it was just a great experience.
And by Jonathan, she's not referring to me. That's another Jonathan. I didn't
Right,
Of
win
course.
anything.
no, this time.
Of
Who's
course.
to know? You may co-author a book, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
All right. So Ladonna, we're gonna do something different with you today. I know we haven't done any of these we are gonna do a reaction. We haven't done some in a while, so we wanted to do a reaction video. So we're gonna try to get you involved in the game here and talk about this. It's a Kevin Samuels video. We kind of glanced over it, so I don't know exactly what's going on in here, but it was pretty interesting, and I wanted to kind of discuss on this. And it's sort of what I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, one of the topics that I want to talk about was, did you learn from your lesson? So I'm hoping that I
right.
can kind of tie this video into that discussion. Hopefully these individuals are cooperative. So we'll see what happens here. Let me get it set up. Let's see. All right, there we go. All right. Roll that tape. Oh, I gotta unmute.
What's your first name? Your first name is what?
Ashley,
Okay. How old are you?
27.
I said, are you as dope as you think you are?
Yeah, so my honest response to that would be, I think I'm a little bit doper than I thought I was.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how dope are you?
I'm about 8.
Okay. So, what are you basing it on?
Okay. So now I
I'm
gotta
basing
stop
it
it there
on
real fast. So now, I hate to be critical of people, but my thing is, you going on a show where probably hundreds of thousands of people are gonna watch you, maybe even at some point 1 million people. And my girl's background is all chopped up. And I hate to be critical of that, but so I don't know if you ever watched Kevin Samuels, but he's always very cognizant of when women are single. And I'm gonna tell you, I know this lady is single, but if she didn't tell me she was single, I'm gonna say she's single because she got that bed sheet on the window in the background. So I'm just saying, because you got to do
That could be a
something better.
stylized curtain, man. It's a
No,
stylized curtain.
that's a stylized bed sheet. Then I don't know what that is behind her, but she got some Pringles, or no, not Pringles, Lay's, or some kind of potato chips. What is that back there? I'm just saying, people don't, you got to be presentable. And I don't know what her angle is. I don't know what she got going on, but you always got to be aware. These videos are forever. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I know that's just the pettiness in me. Forgive me, y'all. I can't help it. I just, I try to make sure whatever the mess that I have in the room is on the other side of the camera and not on this side of the camera. I mean, I don't have mess, but there's a whole lot of equipment on the other side that you can't really see. There's a bunch of speakers and lights and stuff like that. But there's no mess behind me. All the mess is in front of me. All of the junk. They're gonna say, you got a lot of stuff in that room, but all of the stuff is in the back. All right. So let me get back to this.
On companionship, communication, loyalty, femininity, and just like general skills as a woman, I suppose.
Okay. Are you married or are you single?
Single.
Are you available
Are you in a
there,
relationship?
Ladonna Marie, you there? Because I know she was interrupted briefly. I'm just checking in on her.
I'm here.
All right. So I want to
gotta-
ask you. I want to ask you a question here. So I mean, I'm watch a lot of you. I watch a lot of you on video and stuff like that. Am I being overcritical of that messiness in that room? Because I'm really, I'm gonna say I do have some, some. Oh, I don't know how to describe it, but I have this way that it's hard for me not to say I'm the epitome of neatness, but it's hard for me to go in a woman's house and it's messy, junky room, stuff like that. And I've been, I remember one time having a crush on this woman. Now, there was nothing romantic between us, but I was always, admirous of her. And then I went to her home because I was helping her. She was having a Christmas party. So I was helping her bring a Christmas tree, helping her decorate and stuff like that. So I've known her for a long time. We've been friends for a long time, but I've always had some type of crush on her. And all I know is when I got in that house, that's all I can say. It was a hot mess in there. I don't know if she usually worked with a housekeeper or something like that, but if you ever remember the Cosby Show with Theo's room, that's what it was looking like in this whole apartment. Everything was messy everywhere. And I was like, wow. And now you got to clean this up in a few hours because that's when your guests are coming in. So, is there a point to being clean as a lady? I mean, what is your thoughts on cleanliness as a lady? You're on mute. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I was on mute. I would say yes. You know what I'm saying, to be clean and making sure, look at my hair, making sure that your background and your settings, being, filming anything, yes, of course, the background and everything should be intact. Also, with your place of living, it should be too. You should make sure that you tidy it up and keep it clean. And even if you can't do it every day, then pick days out of the week to make sure that you get things straight and have it presentable. Because I can say for myself, I have to get my boys involved in like cleaning and giving them different things to do. And most of the time I get everything set in the front room to their room. And so my room is the last one that's lagging. So next time I start from my room first and then move up. So it's just different things that you have to do to keep, and to keep yourself tidy, because you do have to. I'm not gonna say it's always gonna be that way, but you do have to make sure that you keep it together. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
and ladies, first of all, let's put this down there for Ladonna Marie.
Message.
Okay, we got it. All right. So I want to say, ladies, if you know me and we're friends or whatever it is, and you need help putting up a shade, something like that, because you can't put up curtains or whatever you're trying to put, whatever she got going on back there, at a bed sheet instead of a curtain or a blind or something like that, give me a call. Mm-hmm. I will certainly put a blind up for you. Also, for those ladies out there who you don't know how to change your smoke alarm battery, please, because I'll tell you, Kevin Samuels likes to call this, he likes to call it single women's chronicles. But here's a funny thing, and it's I was calling, I want to say Sprint or some customer service, right? And the lady, it's funny, I called her and she picked up, and all I heard in the background, this customer service person, was the smoke alarm battery beep every couple of seconds. And then at some point I was like, are you working remote from home? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, because I heard it. So that just was very disturbing to me, that smoke alarm thing. So ladies, friends of mine, or if you're not a friend of mine and you live in the New York City area and you having problems with just changing your smoke alarm battery or putting blinds up, give me a call at 212-222. There's no number. I'm just kidding. But if you know me, I'll help you out. And if I can't help you out, Jim will come and do it for you. He likes changing those batteries. Right, Jim?
Sure.
All right, let's see what else she's saying. So far, she said she was dope beyond an 8. And she said she was single. So I think that's how I'm following her so far. She's he said, how dope are you? I think she said beyond an 8, right? Am I wrong, Jim? She said beyond an 8.
She said an 8. I don't think she said beyond the 8. I think she just said 8.
I know she said something. I kind of messed up on. Let me rewind that back and let's see. Let's see if now it's
So,
okay.
what are you basing it on?
I'm basing it on companionship, communication,
I think it's got to
loyalty.
go a little further back.
Yeah, it's a little further back. Okay, let me go back here.
Okay. So, what are you basing it on?
Oh, it's back to the same. Come on now. Come on, Willis. Let's do it here.
About 8.
Okay, she's at an 8. You're right. You're right.
Okay. So, what are you basing it on?
I'm basing it on companionship, communication, loyalty, femininity, in just like general skills as a woman, I suppose.
Okay. Are you married or are you single?
Single.
Are you in a relationship?
Not currently.
Any children?
1, a daughter, 9.
Do you want to be married one day?
Yes.
If you watch my show, you know I always ask, how tall are you?
4'11".
Dress size?
That's very
6.
short.
I want you to
She'd be on. She's a little candy packet size of Halloween.
So you said that you would rank yourself an 8 out of 10. That's high.
Yeah, that's high.
You said on companionship,
Communication.
femininity. When you say companionship, when was your last relationship?
Probably about 6 years ago.
There ain't a lot of talking going on there. I'm just saying. She said 6 years. She said 6 years
Yes.
ago. That's a
6
long
years ago.
time. I mean, don't get me
It is.
wrong. I guess, you know, when you end the relationship, you could go a long time without, and I just think time just travels so fast. You know, those
Yes.
people who are end relationships and want to get in another relationship, you know, no one ever says, well, let me just do everything to be single every day. So I could get where time could slip by, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years. So I'm pretty sure that could happen. But I also want to talk about something, and I think we talked about this previously, and that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Well, I can't say guys. Well, no, because I'll say a lot of mistakes that women make, because this aspect of it is really what the men to the women do, and that's the being available for a relationship. And that's something that even some of the ladies that I know, that when we talk about them wanting a relationship, that's one of the things that I ask them. I say, are you available to men? Not to say to date 100 men, but if you're interested in somebody, are you available for someone to be interested in you? Because a lot of times people don't see that they don't make themselves available socially, so that someone may ask them out. Someone may ask for their number or want to talk to them further than the general discussions that they have. So I'm not sure if they talk about that in this video, but I know that's a big thing that I usually talk to with ladies that I know, and they want to have a serious question or a serious discussion about relationships, is, are they available? And because that's very important, because if you close yourself out, if you're projecting yourself as uninterested, then I'm not going to say men, but the kind of guy that's probably going to be interested in having a serious relationship with you will sort of be reserved to talking to you. So if I see a woman, for me, perfect example, if I see a woman that I know, or I'm in the room and I'm interacting with the person, if they're a little standoffish to me and don't give me the sort of the social cues that they want to further have a discussion with me, whether it's going out, whether it's getting my phone number and we're talking on the phone, whatever it is, I'm usually not going to bother. I'm just going to move on and, oh, you know, nice talking, and then move on. So I think that's a whole big thing that people miss, are the social cues from women to men, that men who may be interested in them, but are looking for sort of like when we were talking about you, Ladonna Marie, talking about jumping in that double Dutch rope to check you out. And, you know,
Right.
So I think in this case, I don't know what the social cues are, but the 6 years, there's definitely some social cues missing. And I don't know if it's because she's overshooting what kind of guy she wants, because that happens a lot. Like I know for myself, if I'm in a room and I'm a single guy, I'm probably not going to do well if I'm going to run over and try to get at Jennifer Lopez or somebody like that. So sometimes people overshoot what kind of person realistically might be interested in them genuinely, and expect like these, like I guess for lack of a better word, Michael B. Jordans, and let me talk to Michael B. Jordan and ask him out. And I think that's the a lot of times what happens, people are waiting for people, and then the type of person that they're waiting for isn't usually the best kind of person that's ideal for a relationship. And so, I mean, does that make any sense to you, Ladonna Marie? Is anything that I'm saying making sense, or am I sounding sort of like this over here?
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is true, because I do believe it could have been a myriad of things that in the 6 years of why she, was not or had not been dating, she could have been healing. She could have been overshooting herself. She could have been, not knowing truly what she wanted, not having clarity on that. So I think that in those 6 years, since we don't know the full story yet, I think that they, some possible things that happened, or she could not, like be putting herself out there for a relationship. So I do think sometimes the years do indicate a number of things, just for myself in general. I know I took some years to make sure that I was healing and getting the right encouragement and everything that I needed before you get back out there. So yeah, it could be, either she is going for the wrong type of guy or not having clarity on a person that is on the same purpose level as her, or it could be she's just overshooting and not have her eyes set on the person that would closely align with her in her life, who they're compatible. And so it could be a lot of things.
And it could be they went over that apartment and saw that room. I'm just saying. A true story. I'm gonna tell you true story. I'm gonna, I think I know why this room disturbs me. I'm gonna tell you why. There was once upon a time, my sister, long time ago, my sister wanted to hook me up with some friend of hers, right? I'll never forget. She lived in the East Village, somewhere by 2nd Avenue, maybe 9th or 10th Street, St. Mark, something like that. So she invited me on. So I'm talking to this lady on the phone. I was like, okay, let me check her out. So I went to the house, rang the doorbell, opened the door. What my eyes saw, when I tell you, I was horrified. This woman in this apartment, not only a woman, but somebody's mother. Now, when I was there that day, the kids weren't there. But I wish I could tell you I was exaggerating. She had so much filth in the apartment. I don't think I saw one part of the floor that was clear. It was junk, garbage. She had the toilet bowl in a room that she was in. When I tell you, oh my goodness, I didn't want to sit down. I sat down and I didn't even sit down on her couch because her couch was so dirty. I sat down on a kitchen chair, and I'm sitting up here trying to ignore the mess in the background. But I'm like, oh my God, I can't get out of this place fast enough. So I spoke to her for a while. And then after that, I was like, I got to get out of here. And I was like, well, I got to go. I ran out of that place. I don't think I ever spoke to that lady since. And I was so mad at my sister because I'm like, you sent me to this lady. What kind of woman, can I be with that didn't even care to, I don't know what she could have did to her house, our apartment in that short amount of time, because she seriously needed industrial cleaning there. And it wasn't that she had junk. Some people, they keep a lot of stuff and they have a lot of stuff in their home, clothes or shoes or something. It was garbage. She had filth, trash all over the room, on the floor. on kitchen table, everywhere had trash and filth. I didn't see no part of that apartment clean. It was traumatic. I was traumatized. Let me tell you, I've never experienced, and even the lady that I talked about with the Christmas tree, it was not even close to as bad as this one here that I tell you about. The other lady, she just had, busy people stuff, books overhead, dust all over the place, and, clothes on the treadmill and this and that. So her stuff was manageably messy. This lady here, she made Theo in the Cosby Show, Theo's room, you could white glove and get no dirt compared to this lady over here. That's how dirty and filthy it was. I'm like, I can't believe anybody, terror and then entertain somebody. If my house was messy like that, I would never invite anyone over. I'm sorry. Never.
Yeah,
I'd have a green
not today.
screen. Green screen with a clean house in the background. So I guess that's why I get a little PTSD over here when I see this lady's background, because I've had those experiences in the past. And like I say, I don't meet people with the thought of perfection on them, but you got to try something. You got to try. You knew Kevin Sam. I don't know what time this Instagram live was, but you knew you was going on some Kevin Samuel show. So I think the things that she think is positive, I wish they always had the other side so you could find out what people really thought. But it would be interesting to, maybe he asked her on here. I don't know, but maybe he asked her those questions. We'll see.
How long did it last?
Like 2 years.
So you've been single, so you're having that relationship for 4 years.
Right.
And you didn't marry your child's father.
No.
So how can you rank so high in companionship without a companion?
Because of the opportunity, I suppose. Like you said, as far as turning them down.
No. That's like me saying I have a 85% free throw percentage, and I haven't taken a free throw in the entire season. But why are you turning them down if you want to get married?
Because of just issues in terms of expectations.
How do you know?
Because of the communication.
How do you know if you turn them down?
It's after about, give or take, 2 weeks of communication, which is.
So now I see there, she's telling a little bit. So one of the issues is she's overshooting men. So she, and like I said, it's not me to bash her, but I'm seeing you. Basically, I don't know if this is current type of mannerism she has, not necessarily neat and stuff like that, but whatever you're expecting from someone is definitely higher than what you're showing. So she's not showing to be very neat. She's not very conscious about her home. She got a sheet in the window, and you're critical of a man that's interested in you, but you're not critical of yourself. I can respect someone that says, I need somebody that's this way and that way. It's like a friend of mine, well, a colleague, I won't say she was a friend, many years ago, she talked about this man that she wanted to be in shape, muscular, and this and that, and then she wasn't in shape. And I'm like, you're going to be critical of someone that you don't display the standard that you're looking for. So I could respect someone that's like, I need somebody that's this because I'm that, versus like someone who doesn't live the life that they're expecting someone that they meet is supposed to possess. And then they're critical of those people, and sometimes unfairly. I didn't even put the video back. My bad, everybody. Sorry. All right. So Jim, okay, I'm gonna run on you. Do you see her? Do you think there's a possibility she could have been overshooting her standards for regular type of guys in her eyes? Her expectation may have been too high, when I don't think the expectation of people that she wants may see in her?
Yes, well, I think there's a definite disconnect between probably A, what she thinks of herself, and B, what other people think, especially the opposite sex. I think that, you know, she probably was above her weight class a little bit in terms of the type of men that she should start out with. Um, and C, you know, I don't know what her past relationship was like what Ladonna says. I'm not sure if she really healed or if she's overcompensating for what happened before, if, you know, if she's, you know, have some type of, I won't say phobia, but, you know, like a knee-jerk reaction if she hears a certain thing that she, you know, might set her off on, you know, I won't say a tangent, but, you know, have thoughts run through her head that, you know, she's thinking that this may be wrong when it's not, because she says you know, it's 2 weeks. And I'm like, you're making a termination in 2 weeks? So, I mean, I'm not sure if she has any trigger words in her that may, you know, make her think that or anything of the sort. It could be a lot of issues. Like I said, it could be plenty of issues there. There's a very high probability that she might be, you know, registering in the wrong weight class for the type of men that she should be on for. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, if that's really the majority of the case, but there's a lot of possibilities for her. She's, you know, she hasn't mentioned anything much that could really, you know, set things like what you said in motion. I mean, I'm not sure if the guy's been to her house, you know, to see the designer sheet bed curtain that she has, but it could be it could be a combination of things.
Aha.
So Ladonna Marie, what are your thoughts on the discussion about expectations that she seems to have high expectations. I'm listening to her and she's like, well, you know, not what I expect and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing, of course she didn't say it that way, but she based her cutting this guy off or guys that were interested, that he didn't meet the expectation. And I guess realistically, and this doesn't just go to women, this is just people in general. Should people have expectations of people that they can't deliver to the opposite person themselves? Is that unfair for someone to say, I want someone to be all of this, and then you're not living that lifestyle that you want someone else to bring to you when you get in a relationship?
Right. I do think that that's unfair. I think that you know, we shouldn't go in to a relationship with unrealistic expectations, or because we all have our flaws, and we first have to be comfortable with who we are, the things that we are great at, and those things that we need to improve. I would never call them weaknesses, because I feel like there always are things that we can improve. And so I do feel that, you know what I'm saying, based on her communication and based on what she's saying, there were some things that she may have been looking at the other person as not, you know, having, you know, what she needed. And so just like I kind of agree with him, like, how can you say you have a high level of companionship, and you don't have any, you know, like relationships, or you're not in that phase of, so I know she could say, you know, maybe she was saying like being friendly, or, I mean, at least trying to find a person or communication. I don't know, but I do think you do have to, she has high hopes based on what she feels about herself, but there is no evidence for it. And so I could say if there was a person, then maybe we would be able to gauge that. But because there hasn't been a person and no one meets what you are looking for, then I don't think that that's a justifiable answer. Because the thing about it, what I've learned in going through these classes and what I've heard people in relationships say that dating is for discovery. So even in the beginning, you're just gathering information. You won't ever have all of the information, but for the most part, you're just gathering information. And so maybe that person didn't meet, like you said, the expectation that she had, and that she saw that maybe would go into the relationship in her mind, instead of just filling it out and getting more information to see if it would be something that they could meet at a point of working together.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also now we have Dwayne Johnson on the line. He wanted to respond to the lady talking about her expectations.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dwayne
He's
Johnson.
so bad.
I
Oh my
appreciate that. All right, let's
Right.
get
God.
let's get back to the try to get in some more of this. Let's see where we can find in this short amount of time.
Is on their expectation level of every single day.
Everybody?
Just the last 4 guys that I've talked to within the last 3 months.
Been 4 years though.
Yeah. I just started recently intentionally dating
Why?
because I had to go through therapy and work on my own healing before.
So I want to say we all called it, right? We all called that. You called the healing. I forgot what I called. I just lost my thought right there. Jim, you also called the healing too. I called the oh shoot, I can't even remember what I called. For those of you who's watching this, remember at the beginning of this video what I said. I totally forgot what I called. Maybe I should rewind it and yeah, I'm gonna rewind it a couple of seconds because I definitely called that. So I'm gonna rewind it a little bit and go back to what she said. So let's try that again.
Every single day.
Everybody?
Just the last 4 guys that I've talked to within the last 3 months.
Been 4 years though.
Yeah. I just started recently intentionally dating.
Yes, that's what I said. Okay. See, oh, sheesh, I need some ginkgo biloba or something. But basically, my point was that she let a lot of time pass by before she decided that she wanted to start dating again. So that's what I was saying. So I know Jim and Ladonna Marie definitely was speaking on the healing part, and that definitely. So okay, we pretty good with the assessment so far. All right, let's see.
Why?
Because I had to go through therapy and work on my own healing before I, got to the point where I was ready to, put myself out there for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. You want any more kids?
I'm open to it. Yeah.
What did I ask? I hate that bullshit.
I mean,
She
I
was the
do.
cursing.
Do you want them or do you don't? I mean, it's either you do or you don't.
I do. But only one more.
Negotiations.
No, because her father.
Hold on. The definition of a stepfather is a man who marries a woman with a child. I don't care what her relation. That's a stepfather.
I would have the expectation that the
He
man
would
that
be a
I get with
stepfather.
adopts my daughter, though.
That's even worse. He becomes a legal stepfather and only gets one child out of it.
Depending on his age.
No. You said I want one. I asked you what he did. I'd be open to it.
Okay, so that was interesting. I'm gonna say that's interesting. I'm gonna comfortably say she has definitely not all the way healed, and I'm gonna say that the messiness in the background that we see is her not healing, because I do understand the more I'm listening to her speak and the way that she talks is letting me know there's still some trauma in her life that she's very emotionally. So sometimes when people are messy, they're emotionally drained and they don't have the energy to fix things. So they kind of handle what they can handle and they kind of let everything kind of go by the wayside. So you can ignore not having a curtain and junk in the background and not cleaning your area or being presentable. A lot of times I find that people who still hold on with they're not holding on to it like, oh, I want to have it, but they still have that stress in their life, that drama, whatever, that disorder or whatever it is that's ailing them emotionally. It causes them to sort of neglect other areas of their life. where they don't focus on, and I've seen it. And if there'll be people who will focus on one thing and they won't focus on the other thing, like they'll focus on how they look on the outside and won't focus on anything other thing. They won't focus on their personality. They won't focus on their job or career. They won't focus on their personal relationships with people that matter. And it's like they only focus on that one thing because whatever they're going through and experiencing and can't seem to dodge and escape, it sort of weighs them down mentally to really focus on what they think they can handle. And most of the times it's not the productive thing. It's always like a superficial thing or something that sort of gets them by every day, but it doesn't get them to where they want to go. And I've seen that through quite a few people that I know, that this is going on 12 years, no healing, but they're focused on the one thing. And there's one particular woman, her name is Mercedes, that I know. She everything is about her outward appearance. She's like, okay, I'm gonna look the nicest that I can look, and she only focuses on her outward appearance, but her relationships are toxic every single time. And I had to sat down and had a discussion with her, and I said, what I'm getting from talking with you is that you look for validation from people that reject you, and you reject people that don't need to validate you. And that's ended up being 100% true, because she ended up villainizing me for telling her that. And then she embraced all the people who rejected her. So all the people who reject her, who don't value her as a person, to seek the validation from her, she runs to them, and she always rejects me because I understand what's going on in her. And so she doesn't need validation from me because I understand her experience. And unfortunately, she is only focusing on the outside of herself, not on the inside. And I've known her since, I think, 2008. And in 2021, she's in no better place in 2021 than she was in 2008. As a matter of fact, she's fallen a little further down in the spectrum of life in terms of healing, and she's gotten worse over the years, even though she's grown and matured and she understands the severity of the situations that she gets in. But for some reason, she just hasn't gotten the help that she really needs, and is just focusing on this one thing, and that's the outward character and not the inward, not the personality, not the emotional, not the spiritual. It's just the physical. And she only resides in the physical realm of life in terms of sexuality, in terms of looking pretty, dressing nice, having things. And then when it comes to herself, her emotional state, her psychological, spiritual, none of that exists in her life. And it's very sad and unfortunate. I don't know if you've ever experienced anyone like that, Ladonna Marie, but very sad situation. And sometimes, I try not to mirror the pain that she goes through she doesn't understand. I don't want to feel somebody's pain for them, because that happens a lot of times when you care about people and they're not headed in the right direction. You can feel the pain that they should feel, but don't feel it because they've sort of found a way to numb themselves so that they don't suffer. But when people are aware, when you're aware of what people go through and you care about them, you can actually feel that burden for them, and they don't feel the burden. So I know I'm going all the way off to the left over here, but took it to church. But what do you say on that? And I know you definitely have a lot of experience in counseling people and trying to help people better themselves. So what is your experience, or what is your knowledge on things like that?
Well, in those types of situations, because I'm a very empathetic person, I have a lot of empathy for people, but that is putting yourself in their shoes, but not necessarily being in their shoes. And so sometimes I will tell people, I can't want it more than you want it for yourself. And so that puts the responsibility back in your hands. But I've felt it. I've been around people where I've felt their burden. The Lord has allowed me to feel it because of the fact that they haven't processed it. They haven't done their due diligence to see what it is, because they do have that. I want to make sure that the outward appearance is great, but internally it's not. And I know I'm necessarily sensitive to those types of things, because that was one of the ways that as a younger I coped. Because even though I had a lot of stuff going on the inside of me, my smile would have made everybody think that everything was okay. And so as the Lord started to show me how to heal those spaces, and he walked me through healing and dealing with it and reflecting and being very introspective and writing things out and journaling, I'm always reflecting. And I know a lot of people don't do that because they care about only what people see, but what they see is only going to get you so far, because if there's no depth, if there's no actual healing, if there's no you being even able to confess it, or being able to know what it is, like to put a pinpoint finger on, getting clarity about what's going on or what's the original problem, there will always be this open womb, or open, part of you that needs to be healed. And sad to say, it'll look good for a little while. Things will go great for a little while, but ultimately, what you don't confess will always come back. What you suppress will show back up again, because you haven't dealt with the past, and therefore you keep bringing the past into your future. And every person that is a part of your future is having to deal with the things of your past. And so I do think that a lot of us, and I say that very often, because even myself, I have tablets and journals that I'm always writing, because even if you don't confess it to a person, if it's not at the level where you need to go to therapy, or you're not at a place where you're going to hurt yourself, getting a journal and just writing those things out, because if they come out of you, it's better out, than in. And so I do feel what you're saying. And a lot of people need to know that it had some healing, and turning inward is necessary for any part of growth. Friendships, relationships, family, anything that you have not dealt with clearly will show up again in any form or fashion.
I agree with that. All right, let me try to get in some last minutes and then kick it over to Jim, see if we got anything that I'd like to ask him to respond to.
I mean, do you want to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant and married with the next child?
No.
Okay, I mean, it's fair. And when you got your 2 kids, what percentage of your overall family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime?
Lifetime being...
Yeah, meaning what percentage of the family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for? Meaning if you quit, you decide to start working or whatever, what percentage of the financial load do you want to have to deal with? Meaning if it's not there, this is the percentage that's going to affect the family.
I'd say about 45%.
45%. So if you don't want to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant with the next child, 45% is almost 50%. That means if you stop working for any reason, the family is in serious financial jeopardy. That's what you want?
Yeah, I realize that. Yeah.
No, is that what you want? So every time
Her goal's
a
realistic
bill
there.
is paid, if the mortgage is $2,000, you want $950 of those dollars to be yours.
Yes.
That means if a kid needs college, I mean, this is everything.
Right.
College fund, retirement, all that other kind of stuff, everything. So it's basically, it's 50-50 almost with you.
Right.
Well, if that's the case, you're going to be working during your pregnancy.
I expected as much.
Okay.
It's not what I would want, but
Well,
it's
that's what I'm
I
asking.
expect.
Okay, well, I'm asking you what you want.
So the odd thing here is her understanding for being in the relationship is more realistic than getting in the relationship, if that makes any sense. It's definitely there's something going on there. Definitely she should, I don't know where she probably needs to go back to therapy again, maybe a different therapist than before. But she's definitely got some understanding to the nature of a relationship that she would be in, but the problem is getting to the relationship. So she understands the functioning, or the she understand what goes on and what happens realistically in a relationship. Because Kevin Samuels, this is one major thing that I disagree with him. He's, she's not saying she wants I'd definitely say she's not looking for a rich millionaire guy type, but he always bases his questions like this on people who have money. But the majority of the world is not rich. So although women don't generally want to work during their pregnancy, most women know they are going to work during their pregnancy. Even women who can afford to stay home tend to work during their pregnancy until they have a baby. It's very rare. I work at a place where a lot of women make pretty good money, 6 figures and above. And those women, they tend to want to work even though they're pregnant. The only time they don't work is when they have to be on bed rest, and that doesn't happen very often. So her goals there seem to be realistically, once involved in the relationship, it looks like the disconnect is meeting someone to get in the relationship. And I would say, and this is something that I have a lot of understanding with, because there's a hurt. So there's definitely some hurt there. There's definitely some trauma that makes her very evasive to getting into relationships. And that's why 4 guys in a row got turned down. So there's something that she's doing to protect herself. I don't know for sure what it is, but there's something that she's doing she's guarding herself for whatever happened in that previous relationship that she was in last. But there's something that's going on that she's not very trusting in to move forward in getting in a relationship. Or her expectations are very realistic of a relationship. It's just she's sort of stiff arming people for whatever reason, and she's probably trying to protect herself. Usually the case when I know of situations like that has always been protection from getting hurt or violated or abused or whatever the situation caused that made relationships difficult to come by, in my experiences that of women that I know. And that's usually been the common denominator for them. There's some protective mode that they are in. So they disqualify people because they don't want to get hurt. And it's very hard for them to take that chance because the people that they're meeting, they don't sufficiently inspire them to let their guard down to get in the relationship. So Jim, I guess now my turn to ask you, what do you think about that? Is that a possibility? I mean, of course we don't know for sure, but if I had to take a guess and a stab at it, I would say that more times than not that this occurs. And even if it's not this case, that does occur in cases, because I'm nosy. I'm going to be honest. I'm very confrontational with people and I ask them straight out. Like if I want to know something, I ask them. And I know sometimes it can be irritating because I'm very direct in the questions that I ask people. And, I think the issue in me is the ladies that I know, when I find them having difficulties, is really to get them to address it to themselves, not to me. I don't need to know their business. They need to know what's going on with them and they need to work it out with themselves, whatever that means. So I tend to ask questions to get them to see it, not to satisfy anything that I need to know, but for them to do whatever they have to do moving forward. Because I don't need to know. It's not really any of my business. But if I'm around you and I feel like you need to better yourself, I'm going to encourage you to do that. So Jim, what do you think? First of all, am I wrong to do that? Am I wrong? And I know for a fact that that's happening, because I know people that are just like that and that we talked about. So what do you say?
That's definitely one of the bigger reasons she's protecting herself from whatever, I don't know. She hasn't really talked about any past issues with her previous relationships. So that could both be a possibility. One other possibility is that she's picked 4 men of the same criteria. You know, she did not adjust her variations of what kind of men she interacts with. You know, square pegs, round holes. You know, she got a round hole, and she's using square pegs to try to make a fit, and it doesn't work. It could be that she also has a criteria based on a child's father, when somebody's similar, but you know, it could be a lot of issues with her that could allow her to, you know, go through 4 men in 3 months. That's a lot in 3 months. You know, the men are willing, but she's just not, either she's unsure of what she wants and what she's getting is probably, the disconnect is probably somewhere between there. Um, you know, it's just so many things. She never described on what, you know, what type of manner she had. You know, your plausible reasoning is very valid, and its point could be a combination of those things. It could be, you know, maybe the men probably figured out something too as well, and maybe, you know, it's like their attitudes or their interactions changed, and she knew something was off. It's a lot. It really is a lot for, you know, for 4, like you said, 4 guys in 30 days, or she said, or 3 months, excuse me. And if she's not really sure, like what you said, she should go back and, you know, get, you know, more help. It seems that, you know, after she's done the healing, she either is questioning herself more on the decisions that she's making now, since she's made mistakes in the past. You know, sometimes therapy, sometimes, you know, when you go through those things, sometimes you start questioning yourself more than you should. Or like what you said, she's ignoring a part of her, locking it away. And that, you know, maybe with dementia interacts with, she has to unlock what she locked away. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's the type of questions they ask. She might have been uncomfortable in answering. You know, something of it that she really doesn't, she has something buried. Because, you know, therapy, you know, sometimes people do bury things. Sometimes she just buried something, or she just, like, you know, wrote it down and just think that that was the end of it. And she didn't really confront, maybe she didn't accept what happened. She's in denial, or I'm not sure if somebody else is helping her. Maybe they tell them, you know, the advice maybe she's getting from someone else on the outside may not be what's right for her.
So I wanted to jump in there real fast because I don't want to keep this podcast going too long, but I wanted to say something and sort of throw it over to Ladonna Marie, because I wanted to say, you know, Ladonna Marie is very fortunate as a person because she's understood the process of healing. A lot of times the process of healing becomes lost on everyday people, and it's usually when it comes to a point of no return, that when people have no other choice but to find a way to heal, that people start healing. Is very rare that people can say, oh, I'm going through something, I need to heal. So a question that I have for you, Ladonna Marie, based on this conversation is, have you ever been in this situation where you have sort of been in protection mode, where maybe like just being available for a relationship wasn't a factor because you were protecting yourself? But the more important question is, how can we, or how can you, in your wisdom, what can you tell to someone that may, because I always say a lot of people don't heal, they cope. So how do we get people from coping to healing, and how do they identify the need to heal? I think that's the most important question. So if you just want to, whatever you want to answer, as long as we can answer that last part, that's to me the most important thing, because I want to be able to advise people, because I just find even some of the people that listen to this podcast, I know they struggle with that as well. So that's something that I'm hoping that you may be able to help us with.
Okay. So that's a great question, because the reason and the need to heal is the way that, you know, if it's something that is recurring, if it's something that is showing up in every relationship, that means that there's something. It's not, because normally what I say, you are the least common denominator in everything. So that means it's Most of the time it's something within you and not the other person, because if the other person is constantly, and they may have things that they do, but that means ultimately there's something within you that needs to heal or be addressed. Also, to the other part of that, when you get to a point when you can identify what it is, when you can identify what it is that needs to be healed in a healthy place, you can then tell your next person, hey, when you get to the point of the conversation, this is a trigger for me. This is something that I'm working my way through. It's not something that I'm clutching and holding on to, but this was a trigger for me. And then that could be a conversation, but that means you're still having to make sure, because you're in charge of your healing. When we do get into relationships, and I do want to say this because this is something that I've just learned taking these relationship classes myself, because you're never going to be 100%. You're going to have flaws and the other person are going to have flaws, but it's two people with their flaws willing to work together. When it's not healthy is when you're going back and forth over something that I told you, and then you throw it back in my face because you know that it's still not healed. Like, that's the unhealthy part of it. But in some relationships, if you're single and you may think that it's okay and you've healed it, it may not be triggered until you get back into that relationship. And then you see, okay, so there's still some work on this that I need to do. I do think that you still have to do the beginning work, because you got to identify what it is. If you don't know that you may get depressed seasonally, or you may have anxiety here or there, or you don't like to clean, and you know what I'm saying, whatever that is, whatever your situation is, you have to be able to identify, because you don't know what it is, and it'll show up. It'll keep showing up. Coping is good. Everybody will have to cope and do things. For myself, still now, I do affirmations every day of my life, because I fight to stay positive. I had a lot of negative stuff that was said to me over years and through many, many, many people. And so I have an affirmation app on my phone. So the things that I don't say to myself, the app pops up and I repeat it out loud, because I have to be in a constant place of positivity. So I just wanted to say, yeah, people have to be able to identify what it is. You have to look at a relationship, because you never are supposed to go into a new relationship with the things of the past. And then if they do show up, then there's something that you need to figure out. If that is going to get help, if that is learning your emotional intelligence, or, level of where you are, in learning how to be stable with your emotions, with your mental thoughts, because there is a lot of work that we have to do. We can't just rely on the other person to do that for us. And so my biggest thing is people have to identify, because I look at myself all the time. In order for me to change from where I was then until now, I had to identify the points in which I needed to grow. And when I identified the parts that I needed to grow, then I started buying books that tell me about these things. I started doing classes. I started investing in myself, or, get into a group and you talk about these things. But when you talk about them, you have to be conscious of changing the narrative, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's insanity, and it's not going to help.
Oh my God.
So I hope that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense there. So now, of course, this is the portion over here. Relationship braces. Bringing hearts together, one heart at a time. Jim, you're recused from today's relationship braces. So Ladonna Marie, I ask you, on the way out of this podcast, what final advice you may have for these people out here in the world that need to hear.
First, I to tell each and every person to love yourself. to love yourself and to know thyself, to take a hard look in the mirror and to find out the things about yourself that you want to strengthen, and then start to work on those things before you can get in any relationship with anyone else. Strengthen those things and then take a step to just know yourself, each day and be better than you were yesterday. And then even to work on and start to read and get knowledge about relationships and how you show up in a relationship before you can expect anyone else to show up in a different way. That's it.
That's great advice. So we do have a couple of words of advice from a few celebrities. One of Jim's favorite actors. Go ahead. Okay, thank you, Chewbacca. All right, we got the next advice over here. Hold on. Thank you, Godzilla. And finally, from former President Barack Obama, what do you have to say?
Don't make someone else clean up your mess.
And I always agree with that. He says that all the time. I appreciate that. So, I want to just thank everybody that listens. Hopefully those who are in need will receive and get. That is my hope for everyone that watches. It's always a level of entertainment involved, but there's also a level of counsel, outreach, and well-wishing to everyone out there in the world. And I know sometimes that's not a popular thing. People tend to tune in and don't really care about those aspects. They looking for petty and drama. Petty's fun sometimes, but in a fun setting. So really, we're just looking to help the average person out there. And we hope that those of you who listen to this show receive such a thing. And with that being said, this is Jonathan St. James, along with Ladonna Marie and Jim, and we wish you all a farewell until the next time.
Yeah.